family?
No, not at all.
What inspired Phil to follow a musical path?
I think because I had a young mother.
Okay.
My mother was, I was born to a 16-year-old mother,
Okay.
which wasn't socially acceptable in 1957.
Right.
But she was at that age where she was bringing music into the house.
Yeah.
So she, in fact, only this past week, she said, "Oh, I've got to give you my singles, her 45s." You know, because she bought everything. You know,
Sure.
so the Trogs, the Who, like Alan was saying. You know, all those. We've got all those on 45s. You know, all those vinyl 45s. So, and also. I lived. We always lived in central London.
Okay.
Okay, and so we lived like Holborn with WC1. So it was never more than, well, literally you'd have to go slow to get to where it was all happening. 10 minutes. You could walk. We could walk to Charing Cross Road. All the music shops were in about 7 or 8 minutes, and that's where I started doing all my odd jobs, and of course back in the day when I was working, for example, early 70s, you know, you'd see the bands knocking around the shops, going in, trying the guitars and stuff like that, and you'd be in, you know, you'd be in awe of these guys, and of course they're just doing their job, you know, in the daytime, just going to check out guitars and. There was a wonderful place called the Fender Sound House.
Okay.
Wonderful place, where it was a really big store opposite Good Street Station in Tottenham Court Road, and they had Seymour Duncan fixing guitars out the back.
The Seymour Duncan.
Yeah, the Seymour Duncan. Yeah, he was doing guitar repairs in the back, and I remember Pete came in, Townsend came in, with a Les Paul in 3 pieces, and gave it to Seymour, and he got it back as it was. You know, he got it back. He put it all back together and stuff like that. Yeah, I remember that. But they encouraged younger people. They had a like a coffee bar there, and a lot of the stuff I learned, like most music shops, all the sales guys could all play.
Right, sure.
They were all session musicians, you know, and you could just be in there. You just hang out. You could really hang out in the coffee bar. So I started spending more time there than at school.
You started out on the guitar.
Yes, okay. Guitar, yeah. And
what made you transition to the bass? Was it necessity?
I was the smallest guy out of the 3, and they said, "You can be the bass player."
How does the smallest guy get to be the bass? You're just the big guy.
Yeah. No. They said you're the smallest, so you can be the bass player. So the other two, that's really what they said. But I think that also I found it at the time being smaller. It was literally easier for me to get around 4 strings than it was 6 strings. And after I bought a bass, I really took to it because I started, you know, picking out the bass on recordings and listening to bass quite obsessively actually, and I don't know really. I suppose I just went with it organically. And I went with it, and that was it. I was a bass player.
Pretty much self-taught then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you ever study anything formally, or?
No, I can't read a note. You know, I can't read or write anything like that at all. It's all by ear.
Right, and it probably wasn't easy to pick out bass parts in those days because records weren't mixed like they were now, and you had tinny little hi-fis and things.
Yeah, well, the other thing I always say when I'm teaching is the kids these days are quite lucky with digital gear because you can like loop a section that you want to learn, where I had to find it again with a needle on a bit of vinyl.
That's right.
to find the same section, you know. And I remember doing that again and again and again with like Machine Head, Deep Purple, Yes Songs. I loved. Yeah, I loved that live album that they did, the triple album, Yes Songs. And another one actually for me, strangely enough, this is again eclectic mix, was the Ziggy Stardust album.
The Trevor Bolder.
And someone mentioned Trevor Bolder to me only yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, and I replied to them, it's another Facebook thing. I said, you know what? Big influence for me.
Mm-hmm.
Great bass player. The bass lines he plays in that band, because they were a band. They were a real band.
Really played to the song.
Watch That Man,
there's Pin-Ups record.
yeah, he's really, the bass lines are really, really fantastic. I picked out a lot. And then the other guy that I really followed, yeah, Jean-Jacques, I liked the sound.
Yeah,
I liked his sound, and you know, that crunchy, distorted sound. But Phil Lynott was a big one.
Yes, yeah.
Because me and my mates, when we started drinking, like really going out to really tie one on, you know, we started to follow Thin Lizzy.
Okay.
Because you could see Thin Lizzy most nights in and around London.
Was that right? Okay.
Yeah, in front of 50 or 60 people.
Wow.
You know, and so the first time I saw Thin Lizzy was the first time Gary Moore was with them. And they were a three-piece, and I saw them at an all-nighter at the Central London Polytechnic with the Pink Fairies.
Wow.
Yeah. And the Gary Moore, and I couldn't believe it. I was just blown away. I think these three guys making like such a noise. But I always found that Phil Lynott played. He played the bass like a guitar.
Yes, he did. Right.
There were lots of strokes like that.
Right, with a pick.
And I really picked that up. You know, the riffing thing, and he played lots of soulful riffs actually that were very influenced by Stevie Wonder. He told me that later. Yeah, Stevie Wonder riffs, and kind of put them into a rock setting where you've got the guitar replicating the riff. And if you listen to an album like Nightlife, it's got loads of those.
Very soulful record.
Loads, pretty soulful. Yeah. It's quite a soft sounding record compared to the way they were live, but you can hear the bass and the guitar playing the same riffs.
Right.
And of course the drummer was a really funky drummer, Brian Downey.
Right,
I mean, what a great drummer! I mean, no one talks about him. But he's fantastic, fabulous drummer, great time, great sound. You know, Thin Lizzy were. I remember going to see them at Wembley and thinking I'd lost them. You know, because they got really big. You know, whereas we used to be able to go up and talk to them, and like, you know, I remember seeing them at Wembley Arena and thinking, oh no, we've lost them now. Oh God.